Greetings, fellow Africans. I speak to all of Africans, and I want all separatist leaders, all people who are fighting for right of minority across Africa should take note of this message I'm putting out there, because you will hardly hear Africans talk about African geopolitics or understand the geopolitics that basically rule the world. My name is Capo Daniel. I'm the chairman of the People's Right Advocative Platform, a Pan-African movement based in Cameroon. And we advocate for right of all minority groups, indigenous groups across Africa. And I want you people to pay attention, because these are not things that are covered in our news or are being highlighted, and our people are not educated about the geopolitics. A great significant diplomatic engagement and geopolitical maneuver have taken place in Africa under the auspices of President Erdogan of Turkey in Ankara, that involve a deal made between the president of Somalia, Sheikh Hassan, and the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, the Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. They have signed a very significant deal that is going to re-establish and form the basis of a new era of relationship between Ethiopia and Somalia. This is very important, and I'll come to that very shortly. You know, Ethiopia have been a traditional enemy of Egypt. One of the most powerful military in Africa is the Egyptian military. I'm going to come to that very soon, and to give you the details and what you should know about geopolitics. I will start with the issue in Cameroon, with the war that is going on for Ambazonia independence, and also the war for Biafra independence, because these are all indigenous groups that are fighting for the aspiration of their people. What happened, and a missed opportunity, which was caused by the people of Southern Cameroon themselves, is we had a golden opportunity for the people of Southern Cameroon to have their independence and break away from Cameroon and end decades of oppression and assimilation by the French system that is being imposed in Cameroon. It happened in the early 90s, during the period where you have a military dictatorship in Nigeria under the leader Ibrahim Babangida. Ibrahim Babangida was a very, very smart Nigerian military leader, one of the smartest leaders that have ruled over Nigeria. He survived a failed coup d'etat in 1990 that was led by Major General Gideon. After that coup d'etat, Babangida decided to launch a program that is called SAP, Structural Adjustment Program, a vision to revive the economy of Nigeria and put Nigeria in the world stage. That includes making huge investment to build the Nigerian pipeline that will supply Nigerian gas to Europe. Mind you that Nigeria have not even tapped 5% of its natural gas because of geopolitics in Europe. There is an unwritten geopolitics war that governs the entire planet after the Second World War, that the Russian government have access, guaranteed access to sell their natural gas in Europe. That natural gas have made Russia one of the most wealthiest country in the world. And Africa is the loser in this case, because we are not aware of this geopolitics. It is more easier for Nigeria to build a pipeline from Nigeria that goes through Morocco or through Chad, through all these countries that have had coup d'etat in the northern part of Africa, to link those, to sell their natural gas directly to Europe. It will make Nigeria a developed country and one of the most richest country in the world. Since Nigeria independent, they have not been able to raise this money, because Russia will see it as a war if Europeans help Nigeria to build that pipeline. Nigeria is not capable to raise money. Babangida started that project to expedite that project, which came into limelight when the war in Ukraine started. Emmanuel Macron of France decided to facilitate and grant permission for some European companies to help Nigeria build that pipeline. Once that deal was done in Morocco, the Russian government quickly dispatched the Wagner Group to help certain African leaders who are actually traitors to their own country, but people do not see them that way because they don't understand geopolitics. And they help to organize coup d'etat in Mali, Burkina Faso, and many other countries in the northern part of Africa, basically cut off northern Africa so that Nigeria will not be able to build a pipeline directly to Europe. This is a maneuver taken by Russia strategically to protect their interests so that they are the sole supplier of natural gas in Europe. If Africans understand this, they will have a different look in global politics. What is happening now is that the NATO alliance, through Erdogan, have been making a series of maneuvers. The first one is taking over Syria. Once Syria falls under control of Erdogan, Turkey, who is a NATO member, a strategic NATO member, the Saudi Arabians, who are also having difficulties to supply natural gas using ship, are going to have an access to build a pipeline directly through Syria to supply natural gas in Europe. This is going to undercut Russia's supply of natural gas in Europe within 5 years, and Russia's economy will fall. Russia will never be able to threaten the West. So these are major geopolitics war that are going on. The Israelite Prime Minister, before the starting of this Gaza war, had also suggested that if Israel take control of Gaza, there will be a possibility of Saudi Arabia constructing a gas pipeline that will pass through Israel, pass through Gaza, and get into the sea so that it could reach the European shore. These are all major geopolitics that we should be aware of. How these things affects our political development and our ability to rule ourselves or to exercise our right of sovereignty in Africa. They are very important. So come back to Nigeria. The SAP program that was launched by Babangida, the Structural Adjustment Program, including the retaking of Bakassi Peninsula for full exploration of petroleum, not just natural gas, by the Nigerian government. Babangida deployed Nigerian forces to occupy Bakassi that was legally recognized as part of Cameroon's sovereign territory. In trying to take over Bakassi, a commission was set up by Babangida that invited some Southern Cameroonians who were part of the Anglophone movement that have always been agitating against the erosion of the common law and the Anglo-Saxon system in Southern Cameroon or English Cameroon by the dominant French Cameroon government. This was a highly secretive meeting that I have been privileged to discuss with two Southern Cameroonians who are of age now, who were in that meeting. These people were met by the people of the Sani Abacha government, of the Babangida's government, in the embassy of Nigeria in London. A meeting was held there where Southern Cameroonians were being, the discussion of agitation and war in Southern Cameroon was initiated, where the Nigerian government wanted to use Southern Cameroonians to agitate for independence and sponsor them, and were even willing to send Nigerian troops to disguise like Southern Cameroonians to help and fight to claim the whole of Southern Cameroon or English Cameroon, with the promise that if they help us in Southern Cameroon to obtain independence, we are going to allow Nigeria unrestricted access to Bakassi and make Bakassi to become like an international zone between Southern Cameroon, independent Southern Cameroon and Nigeria. It was very, very good deal for Southern Cameroonians who wanted to separate from Cameroon, and they wanted to have an independent state of their own to protect their own identity, which was being encroached by the dominating French government in Cameroon. What happened was, when this meeting took place, the Nigerian government created a account where money would be put to help this movement to mobilize Southern Cameroonians and educate them. But you had in Southern Cameroon a new movement that had emerged from the Anglophone movement called the SCNC. The SCNC members, once they heard that there was money involved, money to support people, they start writing to Nigerian government, telling them that the people you are talking to of the Anglophone movement are the wrong people. It is now the SCNC. It was all about money for them. And because of all those letters back and forth, what was supposed to be a secretive deal become now a matter of debate and infighting. And the Nigerian government simply just pull off. With time now, with the Ambazonian uprising, the Anglophone war going on, the Cameroon have been smart to decide to rebuild their relationship with Nigeria and make it almost impossible for Nigeria to help the people of Southern Cameroon to obtain their independence. So this is very important that we learn from this history. What I was trying to tell you people, which is current, that we can learn, is the issue of the right of self-determination of the people of Somaliland, which is now one of the most organized, peaceful places in the Horn of Africa. They have been able, through military force, to secure their land from Ethiopia, which is very destabilized, and able to run their own economy. But they are not recognized as an independent country because Somaliland is recognized as part of Somalia under the United Nations Charter, and the United Nations consider that territory a part of Somalia. So it's difficult for Somaliland to obtain independence. In 2024, this year in January, something significant happened. What have been happening in the Horn of Africa is that Egypt and Ethiopia have been long-time enemies because of the construction of a dam by Ethiopia that seeks to tap water from the Nile River to power its economy, which is something Egypt do not want. Egypt have been using proxy forces, hybrid war, to fight against Ethiopia, supporting militarily the forces in Eritrea, and many other wars that have been going on in Ethiopia have been supported and backed by the Egyptian government. So what has happened is that Ethiopia have become landlocked. There was part of Ethiopia, Djibouti, that was given to the French government, similar deal to what happened in Hong Kong, where Ethiopia leased Djibouti to the French government for 100 years. The French government outsmart the Ethiopians, and eventually Djibouti become an independent territory. And now Ethiopia is a landlocked country. Despite its economy and its strong potential to become a developed country, Ethiopia do not have access to the sea, and it has been a crippling point to Ethiopia. The French government have used Djibouti to make maximum profit from trade with Ethiopia, because Ethiopia relied on Djibouti for its export and import. On the other side, the Egyptian government have also capitalized on using other proxy groups to keep Ethiopia bogged down in wars that reduces its capacity to wage war if it comes to war between Egypt and Ethiopia. What the Prime Minister of Ethiopia have done, which is very smart, is that in January 2024, he went to Somaliland and struck a deal. He signed a memorandum of understanding, because Ethiopia cannot sign a treaty with Somaliland. It is not an independent country. They enter into a memorandum of understanding to lease a coastal line, 19 kilometers coastal line in the port city of Barbarios. What is the name of that coastal city? With the understanding that it will be a tacit recognition of the independence of Somaliland, and in the future will probably recognize the independence declared by Somaliland. These have altered and changed the politics of the Horn of Africa forever, which we must learn from it. What happened is that Somalia become very, very angry and agitated because of that deal. And it has forced Somalia to now come to the table to negotiate to guarantee access to the sea for Ethiopia through Somalia. So Erdogan, the president of Turkey, have brought in the president of Somalia, Mr. Hassan, President Hassan, and the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Abiy Ahmed, to Ankara, and they have now signed a landmark deal. From February this year, Ethiopia will have access to the Sea of Ethiopia. In return, Ethiopia is going to cut off any relationship or dealing or support to Somaliland. Somaliland is now going to be the biggest loser. All their support, all their engagement internationally will be undermined greatly. Now Djibouti is now offering Ethiopia access to their seaport for free. And I'm sure within the coming years, Emmanuel Macron will be traveling to Africa. I predict that he will be traveling to Africa to meet the leaders of Ethiopia and try to see how they can work a deal to outsmart Somalia, so that Somalia will lose that strength. The deal and normalization of relationship between Ethiopia and Somalia will be a great deal for Somalia. It is going to take away all the undercover and hybrid war that is going on in Somalia. It's going to stabilize Somalia. It's going to bring huge income to Somalia. And it is going to be a big loss to Somaliland. So what is the lesson we can learn from this? We should be able to cut out deals to secure geopolitical advantage over our rivals. This is where the Somaliland have failed. Somaliland failed to grant that access early on the way Ethiopia wanted it. But eventually, the deal pushed Somalia to have a deal with Ethiopia. If Somaliland had engaged with Somalia during their engagement with Ethiopia, they would have been able to secure a place in the table where their future will be decided when these deals are being made. What we in Southern Cameroon should learn, and the people of Biafra is to learn, is that whatever deal we have, we should use it as leverage in engaging our immediate rival. The people of Southern Cameroon ignoring the Cameroon government only put them in a peril. You must use your leverage wisely. The people of Somaliland did not use that leverage wisely. Today, Ethiopia and Somalia are going to be singing Kumbaya, and the losers are going to be Somaliland. Today, Cameroon and Nigeria, the president of Cameroon basically invited Nigerian troops to come to Cameroon and celebrate their national day, which makes it almost impossible for Nigeria to support Southern Cameroon because we didn't seize the opportunities in the 90s. Had it been the delegation, which was very good, I've spoken to some of them who were in that meeting in the Nigerian embassy in London, were united and used that leverage and also have backdoor communication with Cameroon and tell them to Cameroon, look, we have been suffering and complaining for marginalization and assimilation for the past decades. We want you to grant us a high degree of autonomy, or we are going to make a deal with Nigeria. Having deals, creating deals, is an act of diplomacy. Sometimes isolating yourself, thinking the people that approach you will help you, is not very wise. You'll be outsmart by your enemies. Know your enemies and negotiate with your enemies. That is a deal of diplomacy that we must learn. The People's Right Advocative Platform, we are having certain maneuvers. We have successfully secured international partners to help us in these maneuvers, to help to safeguard the independence of the people of Southern Cameroon, or give them a higher degree of autonomy and guarantee path to independence. This will involve us leading our people into having some deals, including with the French government and the Cameroon government. We must be able to negotiate and leverage our strength while we can. And our people must understand this. The Biafran people, I'm very happy today when I listen to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and information I'm having from people that are close to him, with his ability to be rational and reasonable and seek for a deal with the Nigerian government. We in Southern Cameroon, we must seek a deal with our immediate rivals. That is the right thing to do. There will always be foreign partners that plays geopolitics, that seeks to use minority groups that have grievances to destabilize certain states. While those will be opportunity, we must be very smart to capitalize on those opportunities to make progress, tangible progress for our people, so that they can have greater freedom, greater access to capital for their development, and enhance our own aspiration. I hope this update in Somalia and Ethiopia will inspire you to think out of the box and see how we can maneuver ourselves within geopolitics to secure the interests of our people. Have a good day wherever you are.